Hello,
Welcome. Today
Beth.
we're
Welcome
down
to
under
sunny
Sydney.
Sydney.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Arianwen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
Now, Arianwen, I sort of like get the feeling that there's one person in this interview that is in love with a dead Welsh king. And it's not
Yeah, that has to be me.
yeah. Now, usually when I do, I tend to do quite a lot of research for these interviews, and usually I've got the most 3 pages of notes and things that I use to develop questions. When I started researching you and your books, I was up to 10 pages. So to cut it short,
Bards Sing of Love and War is a captivating historical novel set in 11th century Wales, where love, honor, and ambition clash amidst the Norman invasion. As Chief Bard Rhoddri mentors young Tal, the tale unfolds with political intrigue, familial loyalty, and forbidden romance, centering on Griffith Rhys's quest to reclaim his kingdom and win Gwenllian's heart. Amidst King Henry I's campaigns, and betrayals within King Gruffydd Cynan's court, a web of deception, secret marriages, and daring rescues promises to enchant fans of epic romance and adventure.
He didn't get over it. So he felt he'd let down. He thought he could have done better. And that's the premise of these weeks leading up to when he was summoned to King Henry's court, thinking that he might never return from there. And that's the beginning of the book.
So you're obviously passionate about this Welsh king. Tell me about him. Who was he? What type of man was he?
Yeah, he was an interesting man. He had 2 sides to his character. The warrior, of course, which was really important. He was very strategic, but he had a cultural side to him as well. He was very religious, and he believed passionately in the Welsh church. He gave money to Bangor Cathedral to make sure that it could survive long after he had gone. In days where men didn't care too much about their wives, he really did. And his will showed that. He left things to his wife to show, how much he cared for her. And he was a family man too. But at the heart, he was a warrior. He was a warrior king.
Yeah. When I was researching, I sort of like, I suppose, because I'm a big Braveheart fan.
Yeah.
And I sort of like felt. I mean, obviously, Braveheart was a long way away from Wales, but I sort of like felt the same type of I suppose emotions and that coming across about this Welsh king who was doing anything he could to sort of like I suppose protect his country from the English.
Betrayed by his brother and cast adrift on a hostile sea, who survives to become the first Anglo-Saxon king of Britain. Based on J.R.R. Tolkien's research, the novel intricately weaves historical events with legend, presenting Hengist as a multifaceted figure navigating the bitter conflict between Anglo-Saxons and Britons. From the acclaimed author of the Arthurian Age series, this gripping tale of ambition, survival, and power is steeped in rich historical detail and compelling storytelling.
I think there were lots of similarities there. I mean, you're talking about Scotland, but the idea of clan and kinship is very similar to the Welsh, what we call taili. So a taili is a group of men who support the king, and that when they went into war or battle, that there would be lots of things that came out of that that would make them richer. But he would also make sure that they were married well, they had lands and property and so forth. And in that way, I think it's very similar to the idea of what was happening in Scotland and clans and that kind of feeling of belonging almost as family, rather than just serving, as the Normans did, a king in a different kind of way entirely.
how long did it take you to research all this?
So I started doing the research for the 3 books. I've done three books about this particular family, and I started doing the research years ago and putting it all together. And I probably researched for a couple of years before I even put pen to paper, and found a lot of interesting things in that time. And when you start digging and digging, you find more things of interest, as you'd know, and then you realise that they haven't yet been written about, and you'd like to.
Yeah, I sort of like get the feeling that there'd be a little bit of romance and spice in this novel.
Yeah, on 2 fronts. So we're looking at 2 different kinds of spice, if you like. Griffith had a very beautiful and far more famous daughter called Gwenllian, who was called the Boadicea of the Welsh. She fell in love with a young prince called Griffith ap Rhys, who was a landless prince because his father being killed, the Normans took over his lands, and he went to Ireland until he was of age that he could become king, and came back and had quite a following. And Griffith ap Cynan actually trained him in the art of warfare, made sure that he knew what he needed to do strategically. And that was the reason that King Henry summoned Griffith ap Cynan to his court in England, was because he felt that was a traitorous act. But Gwenllian fell for him entirely. But Griffith had other ideas for his daughter. His daughter was a prize, and he was paying a huge fine for peace to King Henry. And it would have been wonderful if she could have married somebody that wasn't a landless prince with no money.
Baby, You're Worth It follows the heart-wrenching story of Tabitha, a mother whose joy is shattered by unforeseen tragedy during the birth of her second child. Faced with the devastating consequences of medical errors, Tabitha must navigate life-altering decisions, balancing her job, her mother's deteriorating health, and the needs of her children. Amidst pain and trauma, Tabitha embarks on an inspiring journey of courage, love, and resilience to reclaim her happiness and heal what's broken inside.
In the volatile province of Britannia, AD 59, Wenator, Roman equestrian one, follows Decimus, a seasoned centurion, and Luciana, a fierce Celtic princess, as they navigate a deadly conflict that ignites their mutual attraction. Bound by their passion for horsemanship but divided by loyalty, they must confront a growing unrest led by mysterious druids and power-hungry factions. Amidst the chaos of mounting casualties and political intrigue, Decimus and Luciana grapple with their volatile relationship and the relentless quest for control over Britannia's future.
Different kind of love, the love of 2 people whose children are growing up and have kind of lost their way a little bit. And I guess Griffith is having a midlife crisis as well, not sure about himself and about how his wife feels about him. So there's a little bit of a love story there as well, if you like. But it's a story about making good choices, about the importance of family, the importance of loyalty, those strong old-fashioned values, if you like. But also that there's always a way, that no matter how bad things seem, that there can always be a way. But also, I'd like to think that people would read these books and see Wales in a different light, because back then, Gwynedd, for example, he was king of Gwynedd, which was a kingdom in Wales, was quite an important cultural centre, and was known so all through Europe. And the trading that they did and so forth was very important as well. And I think sometimes that has been swept under the carpet, or has been not well known anyway in the histories that we grew up with.
15th century Hungary, Return to the Eyrie. An epic coming-of-age tale. The young noblewoman Margit Shilogi, raised in exile, defies societal constraints to seek revenge for her father's murder. Disguised as a man, she infiltrates her ancestral home, driven by a fierce quest for justice. Set against the backdrop of medieval Hungary's tumultuous history, this gripping narrative intertwines honor, love, and the fight against the Ottoman advance.
Born in a place called Minnevagareg, which is just above Kidwelly. And without spoiling future novels too much, Gwenllian fought a battle against the Normans in Kidwelly, and sadly was defeated and sadly was beheaded. And it sent such waves through Wales that there was a huge outcry and a move against the Normans from that time. And it was something that was very much part of folklore, but also my mother used to say to me, you know, your Uncle Tom made sure to tell me that, you know, we were descended from Gwenllian. Well, of course, whether that's true or not, and I think half of the people in England and Wales are descended from Gwenllian. So I think, you know, that story sort of took my imagination to great heights. And as a child, I would try and find out as much as I could about her. As I grew older, I started wondering about her parentage, and that's what led me, I think, to write the book. But also Griffith ap Rhys, a landless prince, somebody who's had everything taken away from them, and then is able to come back and fight against a power as strong as the Normans were at that time, is absolutely incredible. And it's true. You know, both of them are true characters. Gwenllian fought herself. She was on the battlefield with her children. She led the battle.
In the novel and go, I'm really, really proud of that. And what's another part that you sort of like edited and took out?
Okay, well, the part that I loved the most was probably the love story of Gwenllian and Griffith ap Rhys, because that was really wonderful. And it, you know, the story just allows itself to be embellished, and you can really enjoy it because it was true, and they were passionate about each other. And she was very young, but you know, she was determined that she was going to be with him. So that was probably the best ever. I think I sort of edited quite a bit about Henry's court, because I didn't want it to deviate too much from the main story of the book, which was in Wales.
Whole sort of like love story. I mean, it seems like it should be on in a movie.
Yeah, it would make a lovely movie, and I'm sure probably there's something being done in the past about Gwenllian and Griffith ap Rhys. But what was happening at the time? I mean, really, the true facts were just so amazing, and what was going on? I mean, you know, in a lot of Europe at that time as well. But it was a time of huge change. Everything was changing, and I think, you know, that these characters were all embroiled in that, and in the political machinations between the Normans and the Welsh, and between one Welsh kingdom and another Welsh kingdom, and so forth. But the actual facts are quite surprising.
What's next? What are you going to do next?
So I'll follow Griffith ap Rhys and Gwenllian, and I won't abandon Griffith ap Cynan and Angharad just yet. They're still there, and some very surprising things happened there as well. So I think now, you know, the next few books will deal with that until I've felt it's reached a good conclusion.
Eventually, the two lovers take off on a boat.
They do.
What happens there?
You have to read the book to find out.
Oh, you can't tell me. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. You're on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we don't want any spoilers. Pleasure having you on the show, and congratulations on the novel. The best of luck with it. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And hopefully, I can talk to you again when HBO turns it into a miniseries.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.